Hey up everybody, today we're going to be doing some French drains. I've already had a go at some French drains today and I've just finished one of them, but we're going to start another one down the bottom end of the field and I'll walk you through the process. I've dug a nice big long drain down at the lowest point in the field to drain to the bottom of the field to get rid of this nasty water we have in the middle of winter. Now this is where the new French drain is going to go. As you can see, there's a cross in the field across the way at the other side of the ditch where the water is going to drain into. It's going to come back all the way around here over this piece of rough land here where I used to have my caravan, and it's going to finish here. And I'm going to put some posts in, find the level for the posts, and then mark the fall down to the drain. But we'll get to that later. Now here we've got some special device here to make sure we find out where level is basically. So I've set up a couple of posts at the far end of the French drain, and on that post I've put a cross member which is measured as level using spirit level, and then strapped onto the front of it I have a high powered green laser which I used to use for astronomy. And that basically points down the far end of the field to the end point post, which basically allows us to see what's going on. This is the setup basically. Here's the laser, here's the spirit level, which shows that it's nice and level, and we have two posts here which are at the end point of the French drain basically, and then down the far end we have our end marker which shows us where the French drain is going to start, and I use the green laser to show a point on there basically, and that shows that it's nice and level and we're exactly where we need to be. Now I'm just going to measure the length of the French drain basically using a long measuring tape, and here we are basically. I know this isn't 100% accurate, but it's close enough for a French drain to work out what the fall needs to be. So we've got 27 meters basically of a drain running. Oh, there's me robot lawnmower cutting the grass. So we now calculated our fall basically. So for a 27 meter run we have a 1 in 150 fall, so that calculates to be 0.18 of a meter, so 18 centimeters. So I've now marked a second post, a second level on the distance post, so we can see what the drop in fall is now. We then have to calculate how our traveller stick will be in terms of length. So from that we want to take 20 inches off the depth of the trench basically, so that's how deep it wants to be. So 18 inches for the French drain, and the sod on top basically to cover it. So I'll calculate my my travelling stick next. So now I've cut the measuring stick, the travelling stick, sorry, to the right length basically. So now when it's at the right depth, which is about 2 feet down basically, you can line up the three things and then you can get your slope. The slope is obviously the distance between the top and the bottom bars on the back measuring T-bar. So now we've got that done, we need to change the bucket on the digger and crack on. Then we just use a bit of string and a bit of survey marking paint to get a straightish line. Don't have to be absolutely bang on because you're just digging a trench, but it just helps you to keep a track of where you're digging from and to. So yeah, I just put a little yellow line on there. I'll take the string off now, change the bucket on the digger, and away we go. Right, I think we're all lined up. It's time to get digging now, so time for a bit of time lapse. Of course, we've got to check that we've got the right depth to start with, because we don't want to dig too deep or too shallow and then move the digger back to the point where we can't dig anymore. So I need to check to make sure we've got the depth right so far. I've turned on the laser and I'm going to use my travelling stick to see how we are getting on. About right, a bit low, it's a bit low, I need to come up a bit. That's about right. Perfect. Right, we shall continue. So this is about how deep I'm going basically. It'll feed out into the drain. That's just a little ramp to let me get across to my stick at the far side. But yeah, we're about the right depth. We just need to maintain that and keep moving backwards basically. Oh, getting attacked by a bee. Again, keep checking with the old stick and make sure we're at the right depth. Too high by a long way, take another inch or two off. Cheers. Well, that was the laser idea out the window, I'm afraid. The laser has died. So I'm going to go back to old-fashioned methods, basically, which is line up the 3 sticks by eye. So we shall have a go. There's the sticks. There's my travelling stick with my patented only nobody needs to hold it special piece that goes across the trench, keeps it straight up. And then back up here, we basically go to the horizontal line and line it up with the bottom thing using my little hook here. So as you can see, not that it's going to focus on that, but there are things down there and you use your eye to line it up. Looks about bang on to me. Now the problem I've got is I've got wire running around the edge of the field which keeps my robot mower in place and lets it know where the boundary is. So I've got to find that wire before I start digging any further, otherwise it'll go bye-bye. Well, that was an easy find. It's quite easy to find really, because there's 2 tyre marks where the robot mower goes over. So you can just basically go halfway between the two and there's your wire. It's something big and hard, concrete by the looks of it. I'll have to have a look and see what it is. Massive concrete block, look. Oh dear. I think I can get by without actually digging it out, but shall have to wait and see. Oh, and there's a big lump of metal and lots of glass. This used to be an old barracks during the war, so there's all sorts of random stuff buried in the ground. I pulled a tyre out the other day, which was enormous. Now it's time for a tea break. My dad always said you work better and faster with plenty of tea. And here you go, a proper cup of tea, Yorkshire Gold, best tea on the planet. I know the Spiffing Brit agrees with me, and he's right, it is the best tea going. Back to work, tea break over. Well, I keep measuring and it's just about right, a little bit high in places. I've scooped it out and it's better to be a bit lower because then you can always add a bit of stone afterwards to make it level. So when we finish this whole thing and we're putting the stone in, we put a layer of stone underneath the pipe and make sure that that's bang on level, and then pipe goes on top of that. Anyway, back to it. Well, that's about it for today. I think I've used as much time as I can. It's time for tea now, a bit of risotto. The gorgeous wife's cooked it for me. I'm looking forward to it. We'll see you on the morrow. Well, morning, it's day 2 and I'm just topping up the trucks with some juice. I've got my muck truck out today because I'm trying to get rid of all the bricks and random pieces of stone that seem to be buried in this land. There's thousands and thousands of them for some reason. I don't know, what went on here, but there seems to be enough bricks to build a house. Here's my good old reliable muck truck. Wouldn't live without it. It's a great thing. I know it doesn't seem like much, a petrol powered wheelbarrow, but trust me, it makes a hell of a difference. And here's the old muck truck. I'll just show you him starting. Very useful little tool that. Well, as you can see, it's heavy going. Lots and lots of rocks, lots and lots of clay. It's a very clay heavy soil around here due to the structure of the local area. We're not far from the sea basically, and there's a lot of clay cliffs around here. Yeah, we'll keep soldiering on. Got to keep checking the measurements every so often. There's a few bits there that are a little bit low, but like I say, when we've finished all this, we can put some stone in and level it off and get it up to the right level. You don't want anything to be high, because if it's high, you can't get your digger in to get it low again, and you don't want to be hand digging it, because that's not good with clay. It's hard work. So you're better just getting it a little bit low if you can, or just on the spot. But yeah, we can level everything else off with stone. Right, I thought I'd give you a shot of what we're doing so far. I know you've been off to the side, so let's have a look down the trench and see where we are. Here's a view of the trench so far. Nice and straight down to the end point. I know there's a few bits in the bottom and stuff, but we'll sort all that out before we get laying the fabric in. The geotex fabric that we're going to put in next. And then we'll lay a layer of stones on the bottom and then the pipe on top. The layer of stones on the bottom will be key to getting it level, because that's the point where you have to get everything absolutely perfectly following the slope all the way down to the end, and you use the stones really to get that level. I know it's an expensive way of doing it because stones are not cheap, but yeah, it's very hard to do it any other way. Well, when you're an amateur like me. Tea break time again. Quick bucket clean there. It was getting a bit full of clay that just wasn't moving, so I had to dig it out, but hopefully we'll get a better scoopage now that I've cleared it out, but it'll probably clag up again in a few minutes. Well, that's lunch done with. Time to crack on. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I've made a blob. I forgot about the robot wire. And I've sliced through it. I'm going to have to join that together. As you can see, I chopped through it. Look, there it is sticking out. What a disaster. Oh well, I've got some joiners, we'll be able to fix it. Well, that's about the end of the line in terms of digging's concerned. I now need to turn it around and dig slightly the other way, but I don't want to go too far because there's cables and water supply there, so I'm going to call that more or less the end of the trench, I think, and that's the lowest point of the field. That's where most of the water comes in, so I'm happy to just call that the end of the French drain. Now I'm going to have to dig the opposite way this time, so I'm going to have to put something over the trench to allow me to drive onto the trench to dig the other way. So thankfully I've got these old slabs which were from a World War II barracks, and they can go in and hopefully we won't fall down the trench. I'll just put these slabs in place. Walk them over. Hopefully that'll be enough. We shall see. I'll put one more on for good measure. It appears those concrete slabs are not quite as strong as I thought they were. One of them's broke in the middle. I have to get something else. These 1940s concrete slabs weren't quite as strong as I thought they would be. Pulling down on the diggers cracked that one there. Oh dear, well I need to find a stronger one. Well, that's about as far as I want to go. The last bit was a bit sketchy, so I didn't get to film that, but we're nearly there now. Right, next job is drainage fabric. Just roll it out, stick it in and pin it down. Then we put some rocks in and then we level it out. Well, that's the fabric in place and pinned down with these plastic pins that I bought to go with it. It's Geotex fabric made for drains specifically, and it's 2 meters wide, so just for reference. Okay, well that's it all done. Pinned in, ready for some rocks. We'll do that tomorrow. Time for some tea. Hey up, it's day 2, phase 2 of this project to put in a French drain. Yesterday we dug the hole and we got it all lined with fleece, and today we're going to start putting a layer of stones on the bottom, only a thin layer, about 2 inches, and then we're going to lay the pipe on top of it. Okay, so we start spreading using the old muck truck a liberal scattering of stones on the bottom, which we'll rake out and then use the travelling stick to measure. But we have to shorten the travelling stick by about 2 inches just to make sure we've got 2 inches of cover. and we'll do that for the full length of the trench. Here you can see I've partially filled little patches of stuff. I'm going to rake this level now, and then we'll shorten our measuring stick and check that it's all level, and then we can put the pipe in. As you can see, measuring up the depth of the gravel to put the pipe on is a two-person job really. Otherwise you'll be getting in and out the trench every 2 minutes to check. So most things you can do on your own, but this bit is better with two people. So the goodly wife is helping me. Thank you. Right, that's the gravel all in and all checked and level and following the slope that it's supposed to follow. So now it's time you've all been waiting for, the pipe. So we're going to lay the pipe now. It's a bit short, only by a couple of metres, but this was a bit left over from the previous trench that I did, so I'll just add a connector and a bit more length and then we're away. Right, time to connect things up. Here's one of these connectors. That's way too long, but that's be long and short, as they say. Here. So this is the outflow pipe with anti-rodent thing at the end. Oh, it's kind of a short piece. A connecting piece we can use for later.
Tom,
yeah?
She's got offered 110 for a 2.
Right, it's all in now. We just need to fill it up with stone up to 18 inches. So we'll shorten our walking in stick again by another 16 inches because we've already chopped 2 inches off it. So get it to 18 inches and then we'll start filling it in, but it doesn't really need to be accurate on top. It's not like the base piece where the water has to flow, so we'll just fill it in and away we go. Right, here it is, all laid in, ready to go. I tend to create a bit of soakaway at the top end because that's where the lower point is, so I'll put a lot of stone in there. Hopefully helps soak things up at the lower point. Right, all the stone's in now, we've taken all the pins out and we're just going to make it into a big burrito basically, and then we can cover across with the sod and level everything out and then we're done really. There's your big burrito, just need to pin it down now. Excuse the noise in the background, it's a harvester. Well, welcome to day 3 of digging. It's actually day 4 in reality because I had to have a day off yesterday because I was absolutely shattered and I had a hospital appointment, so we had a day from digging, but we're back in it, and as you can see the weather's gone downhill rapidly. It's supposed to be glorious sunshine today according to the weather forecast, but this is glorious sunshine when you live close to the seaside when you've got an east wind. Yes, as you can see, it's just sea fret big time. Anyway, we're going to start filling in the hole today. We've done all the other stuff, so let's get on with it. Here's my little friend who stays with me while I'm doing the work. Keeps an eye on the worms after I've had a dig. He's looking for worms now. Go get him, boy. You'll get a nice healthy red breast in winter. Now this is an interesting little device made by the previous owner of this digger. He welded a bit of 2x2 angle iron to the front with a metal plate, and then he built this contraption on the front basically with a piece of PVC pipe, and he used to use it as a snow plough in winter, but I find it very useful for levelling land, so I put this piece on when I'm pushing earth around basically. It's fantastic for that job. Super wide carriage. It also is very good for when you're trying to stabilise the digger. If there's something a bit dodgy going on, you can put this on and it gives you a lot wider spread than that little shovel at the front basically. So yeah, I'll get to this and I'll push all this soil in at this end and then go all the way down the line and push all the soil in down there. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking that all that earth ain't going to go into that hole, and yes, you're right, it isn't. So, but I want it to all tidy down the middle, and then I'll scoop out into my dumper truck a fair amount, and then I'll press it down with the digger up and down, flatten it down so it compresses it in, and then finally I'll level it off with my patented leveling tool. of juice on the dumper, and I think the digger's getting a bit low as well, so it's time to refuel. This is my patented ground leveller, which I'm using to flatten out and get rid of all the stones and everything, because it just drags out all the stones lovely. But it also flattens the ground nicely as well if it's not level. It won't completely flatten it, but it takes the edge off anything that's not completely flat basically. As you can see, it picks up lovely big rocks and lumps of clay and other stuff basically. So back and forward we'll go over this piece of ground I was filling in because it was a dip and it was full of ducks last year because it was so wet here, hence the French drains. As you can see, the levelling works beautifully well on molehills, but not quite so good on clay and stony soil, but it does the job. Well, that's it. That's basically French drains for you. I'm finishing off here at home in my video editing studio. No, it's just in my office. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed that video, and I'll leave some links down below for all the equipment that I bought and stuff that we're using, so you can find what you need. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.